In 1988, the United States revealed an aircraft that stopped the world cold. A flying wing. No tail, no vertical surfaces. A continuous blended shape that radar waves simply slid off of like water off glass. The B-2 Spirit was not just a new bomber. It was proof that America could build something so far ahead of every adversary that the rules of air warfare had to be rewritten on the spot. The Air Force wanted 132 of them. They got 21. Not because the B-2 failed. It didn't. It performed exactly as designed and still flies combat missions today. They got 21 because the program became so expensive, so difficult to maintain, and so hard to produce at scale that the economics collapsed. Each aircraft ended up costing approximately $2.2 billion, a figure confirmed by public Air Force records and GAO reports. The most capable bomber ever built became the most unaffordable one too, and that gap between capability and sustainability haunted American air power for 3 decades. When the Air Force began planning the B-21 Raider, that $2.2 billion lesson was the first thing on the table. By late 2025, the second B-21 Raider had reportedly flown, consistent with the program's low-rate initial production schedule. That milestone is not confirmation that every program promise has been kept. It is a meaningful step in a test campaign that is still determining whether those promises can be delivered. But it marks real progress on a program built specifically around the lessons the B-2 left behind. This is Dogfight Docs. Let's get into it. Act 1. How the B-2 became a cautionary tale. To understand what the B-21 is trying to achieve, you first need to understand exactly how the B-2 went wrong, because the failure was not technical, it was structural. The B-2 Spirit emerged from one of the most ambitious classified programs in aviation history. Northrop's flying wing design was genuinely revolutionary. A blended continuous surface with no vertical stabilizers, no hard edges, no corners for radar waves to reflect from. When it was publicly unveiled in 1988, it forced defense analysts worldwide to reassess what they thought they knew about stealth aircraft. The original procurement plan called for 132 aircraft. At that scale, the unit economics were defensible. Enormous development costs spread across a large production run produced a manageable per aircraft price. The program made financial sense. Then the Cold War ended. Political pressure to reduce defense spending intensified rapidly after the Soviet Union collapsed. The B-2 became a target. Critics questioned whether a bomber designed to penetrate Soviet air defenses was necessary in a fundamentally changed world. Congress cut the procurement numbers year after year. 132 became 75. 75 became 40. The program eventually closed at 21 combat-coded aircraft. Here is the financial consequence of that decision. The B-2's development costs, the materials research, the manufacturing tooling, the avionics integration, the classified testing, were fixed costs that had to be recovered regardless of how many aircraft were built. When the production run collapsed from 132 to 21, those fixed costs were divided among a fraction of the intended fleet. A unit cost planned around $500 million in then-year dollars escalated to approximately $2.2 billion by the time the last aircraft was delivered. The maintenance demands compounded the cost picture. The B-2's radar-absorbing coatings required specialized care in climate-controlled hangars, and each aircraft needed significant attention between missions to preserve its low-observable characteristics. It is worth being precise here. The B-2 still achieved its operational objectives and flew all assigned combat missions. The maintenance demands limited sortie generation rates compared to conventional aircraft, but they did not prevent the aircraft from performing its intended role. What they did do was make sustaining a small fleet operationally and financially intensive in ways that constrained how the Air Force could use it. The lesson drawn was precise. Affordability and maintainability needed to be designed into the next program from the very beginning, not managed as secondary constraints after technical requirements were set, built in as equal requirements from day one. That lesson became the foundation of the B-21. Act 2. Building the lesson into every decision. The B-21 Raider did not start from a blank sheet. It started from 3 decades of B-2 operational experience, and that lineage is visible in every major decision the program made. The most fundamental shift was philosophical. The B-2 was designed to be as capable as technically possible, with cost and maintainability treated as secondary constraints. The B-21 was designed to be capable and affordable and maintainable simultaneously, all 3 as equal requirements from the outset. That distinction changed the engineering decisions that followed. The radar-absorbing materials on the B-21 are designed for greater durability than those on the B-2, according to program statements from Northrop Grumman and Air Force officials. The stated goal is an aircraft that sustains higher sortie rates with significantly less specialized maintenance between missions. a direct response to the B-2's operational constraints. These are confirmed design intentions based on official program communications. Whether they are fully achieved in operational service remains to be validated through the ongoing test campaign and eventually through sustained operations. The manufacturing process represents an equally significant departure. The B-2 was built using methods that were state-of-the-art in the 1980s, largely manual processes with high craft labor content. That approach produced extraordinary machines, but made cost control and production rate scaling genuinely difficult. The B-21 program employed digital engineering from early in development. Northrop Grumman has publicly described the use of virtual models of systems and manufacturing processes that allowed problems to be identified and resolved before physical construction began. Tom Jones, president of Northrop Grumman Aeronautics Systems, stated publicly that the company is learning how to build the B-21 better and at scale, a phrase that signals deliberate investment in production, process improvement, designed to sustain a meaningful fleet over time. Official budget documentation targets a unit cost of approximately $692 million in 2022 for a planned fleet of at least 100 aircraft. That figure is a projected cost based on current program assumptions, not a guaranteed outcome. It reflects the consequence of spreading fixed development costs across a production run nearly 5 times larger than the B-2's, which is the core financial lesson being applied. One complicating signal deserves honest acknowledgement. Northrop Grumman has reported significant financial losses on the program in corporate financial disclosures, reflecting investment in development and early production under fixed-price contracts. These reported losses indicate that achieving the affordability targets has been harder in practice than projected at program outset. Whether this represents a manageable early-phase challenge or a more persistent signal about the program's cost trajectory is a genuine open question. Credible coverage requires acknowledging it rather than glossing past it. Act 3. The second aircraft and what it confirms. By late 2025, the second B-21 Raider had reportedly completed its first flight, consistent with the program's low-rate initial production schedule. That milestone warrants neither the breathless celebration nor the dismissal it sometimes receives. Here's what it actually confirms. The production process is generating aircraft consistently enough to support an expanding flight test campaign. The first B-21 has been conducting flight tests since its maiden flight in November 2023, accumulating data on basic flight characteristics, systems integration, and initial performance validation. A single test aircraft is inherently limited in what it can evaluate simultaneously. Certain assessments cannot be conducted concurrently on one airframe, and flight hours are finite. A second aircraft expands what the test program can evaluate in parallel and accelerates the accumulation of data the Air Force needs before committing to a full-rate production decision. General Thomas Bussiere, head of Air Force Global Strike Command, confirmed publicly that the second developmental test aircraft would support the expanding flight test campaign. Each additional airframe in the test program represents real forward progress toward that production decision. The program's confirmed status is low-rate initial production, the phase where aircraft are manufactured in limited numbers to validate manufacturing processes and support testing before a full-rate production decision is made. The Air Force has allocated substantial funding across the program, with the fiscal year 2026 budget including significant B-21 investment across procurement, research and development, and military construction. On basing and infrastructure, Ellsworth Air Force Base in South Dakota is confirmed as the first operational location, with facility construction already underway. Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri and Dyess Air Force Base in Texas are planned as the second and third operational locations. That infrastructure investment represents concrete commitment that goes beyond program announcements. Bases are being physically prepared for aircraft that are physically being built. Initial operational capability is currently projected for the late 2020s. Whether that timeline is achieved will depend on the outcomes of the ongoing flight test campaign and the resolution of any issues those tests surface. That projection is grounded in a more mature technical foundation than comparable claims from programs at similar stages, given the digital engineering approach and the accumulated B-2 experience the team is drawing on. But projections are not guarantees, and this program's financial signals are a reminder that ambition and execution are not the same thing. Act 4. What the B-21 is confirmed to do. Responsible coverage of the B-21 requires drawing a clear line between confirmed design intent and unverified performance claims. The exact radar cross-section is classified. Precise range figures are classified. The full weapons compatibility list is classified. Anyone citing specific numbers for those parameters without a confirmed official source is speculating regardless of how confidently they present it. What is confirmed through official statements and program documentation is genuinely significant without any embellishment. The B-21 is confirmed as a penetrating strike platform designed to operate inside contested airspace against advanced integrated air defense systems. That requirement directly addresses how the threat environment has evolved since the B-2 entered service. Adversaries have spent 3 decades studying American stealth aircraft and investing in radar systems and signal processing, specifically designed to reduce the effectiveness of low-observable platforms. The B-21's design intent, confirmed by Air Force and Northrop Grumman statements, incorporates the lessons from that evolution. The aircraft is confirmed dual-capable, designed to carry both conventional and nuclear weapons. The nuclear mission is a formal program requirement. The B-21 is planned to eventually carry the long-range standoff cruise missile, a nuclear-armed weapon currently in development designed for standoff engagement that keeps the carrier aircraft outside many threat envelopes. 4 successful LRSO flight tests were reported in 2025, representing meaningful progress toward eventual integration. The open systems architecture is a confirmed design feature and arguably the most strategically significant decision the program made. The B-21 is designed to accept new sensors, weapons, and communication systems across its service life without major structural changes. In practical terms, the B-21, that achieves initial operational capability in the late 2020s, is intended to evolve considerably over subsequent decades, incorporating technologies that do not yet exist in ways that the B-2 was never able to accommodate economically. That design intent is confirmed. Its execution across a multi-decade service life will be validated over time. The supply chain breadth is documented in program statements. According to Northrop Grumman and Air Force Communications, reportedly more than 400 suppliers contribute to the program, with over 8,000 people working across the contractor, industry partners, and the Air Force. That distribution means production capacity is not dependent on a single facility, a structural lesson applied from programs where concentrated manufacturing created strategic and industrial vulnerability. Act 5. Why the numbers matter as much as the capability. Here is the argument. Most B-21 coverage misses entirely by focusing on stealth specifications and range estimates that cannot be confirmed. The B-2 Spirit is one of the most capable strike aircraft ever built. It has flown combat missions in Kosovo, Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, and Syria. It has demonstrated the ability to strike targets anywhere on Earth from continental United States bases. By every technical measure, it is an extraordinary aircraft that fully achieved its design objectives. And yet approximately 20 operational B-2s cannot simultaneously support sustained operations across multiple theaters, maintain nuclear alert commitments, sustain training and maintenance cycles, and hold sufficient reserve for contingency response. The numbers simply do not allow it. The B-2's capability is real. Its strategic utility is constrained by its scarcity in ways that no upgrade program can fully address. A fleet of 100 B-21s is intended to change that equation. Not because each individual B-21 is definitively more capable than each individual B-2 in every dimension. The B-2 remains an exceptional aircraft, and the comparison is not straightforward. But because a larger fleet is designed to provide the Air Force meaningfully more strategic flexibility, though actual effectiveness will ultimately depend on operational readiness, training standards, and sustained maintenance performance alongside the numbers themselves. America's current long-range strike force consists of approximately 20 operational B-2s, around 45 B-1B Lancers in various states of readiness, and B-52 Stratofortresses that first flew in 1952 and are themselves undergoing modernization. Each platform has documented limitations in contested airspace against modern integrated air defenses. The B-21 is designed to operate in that environment with a fleet size large enough to matter across simultaneous global commitments. The Pacific Theater makes this concrete. Distances involved in relevant scenarios stress every existing platform. Operating from secure bases to reach relevant targets requires range, survivability in contested airspace, and independence from forward bases that may themselves be threatened. The B-21's confirmed design priorities map directly onto those requirements, and with a fleet planned at 100 aircraft rather than 20, those capabilities are intended to be applied at a scale that actually affects strategic planning. That is the $2.2 billion lesson translated into program intent. Capability without scale is strategically insufficient. The B-21 was built to deliver both. What the second flight actually means. The B-2 Spirit will be remembered as 2 things simultaneously. One of the most technically extraordinary aircraft ever built, and one of the most instructive procurement cautionary tales in defense history. Both are true. Both shaped everything that followed. The B-21 Raider is the Air Force's structured response to the question the B-2 posed. Can you build a genuinely advanced stealth bomber, maintain its low observable characteristics through sustained operations, produce it in numbers that matter strategically, and do all of that at a cost that does not collapse when procurement politics shift? The second aircraft's reported flight in late 2025 does not answer that question definitively. Northrop Grumman's reported financial losses are a real signal that the affordability promise is harder to keep than projected. The flight test campaign is ongoing. Initial operational capability remains a projection, not a guarantee. The program's ultimate success will be measured in aircraft delivered, costs sustained, and operational availability achieved over years of service, not in milestones alone. What the second flight does represent is forward momentum on a program that was deliberately designed to avoid repeating the most expensive lesson in American bomber history. The second aircraft flying means the production line is working. The test program is expanding. The infrastructure at operational bases is being built. The B-2 cost $2.2 billion per aircraft, in part because it was built in numbers too small to support its own economics. The B-21 was designed so that would never happen again. Whether it fully succeeds is still being written. But the second aircraft flying is a meaningful chapter in that story. If you want coverage that is honest about what is confirmed, precise about what is projected, and serious about what the numbers actually mean, subscribe to Dogfight Docs. Drop a comment below on what you think the most underreported aspect of the B-21 program actually is. I will see you in the next